In this video, we're going to be adding or subtracting fractions using word problems. So, in the first word problem, we have a recipe calls for the following spices: 1/8 of a teaspoon of turmeric, 1/4 of a teaspoon of ginger, and 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. What is the total quantity of these three spices? Remember, I said before that we want to read the question all the way through and then determine what we're looking for. So we're wanting the total quantity. I want to know how much of the three spices, or how much of, not how much of each, but how much total we're getting. So I've got 1/8 of a teaspoon of turmeric, 1/4 of a teaspoon of ginger, and 1/2 of a teaspoon of cumin. So I'm just going to add those together. 1/8 plus 1/4 plus 1/2. And I want to find my common denominator. Look at this one and say, okay, I know 4 times 2 gives me 8. 2 times 4 gives me 8. So I know that I can use 8 for my common denominator. So on these, whatever I multiply 8 by to get 8, or whatever I multiply the number by to get 8, I've got to multiply the top by. So if I'm multiplying 4 by 2 to get 8, I've got to multiply the 1 by 2. If I'm multiplying the 2 by 4 to get 8, I have to multiply the 1 by 4. So then what I have on the top is 1 times 1 is 1, then plus 1 times 2 is 2, and then plus 1 times 4 is 4. Then I'm going to add them together. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 4 is 7. So I have 7/8 teaspoons. 7/8 of a teaspoon for all three spices. So let's look at the next word problem. We have a 3/7 inch pipe is to be shortened to 1/6 of an inch. How much must be removed? So we're looking for what must be removed. So I have a total of 3/7 inch pipe. That's how long my pipe is. And it's going to be shortened to 1/6. So I want to know how much is going to be removed. So I'm going to subtract my 1/6, because 1/6 is what I want left. So everything else is going to have to be removed. So again, I've got to have a common denominator. And in this case, it's just easiest to multiply the two denominators together. So I get 42, and I'm going to use the butterfly method. So I'm going to multiply the top left times the bottom right. So I'm going to have 3 times 6 plus, and then my bottom left times the top right. So 7 times 1, actually it should be minus, not plus. So that should be minus. Let me erase that. So minus. That's what happens when you don't pay attention to what you're doing. 7 times 1. So then I'm just going to do the math on this. 3 times 6 is 18, minus 7 times 1 is 7, still over the 42 for the denominator. 18 minus 7 is 11, so I'm going to cut off 11/42 of the pipe. In the last word problem, at least I think it's the last word problem. All right, we have a pennant. I have a pennant, or a pennant has 4/5 of an inch by 1/2 inch rectangular shape with a 1/4 inch silver border. What are the dimensions of the pennant, including the silver border? Use the larger value for length and the smaller value for width. All right, so which is smaller, 4/5 or 1/2? 4/5 is almost a whole, right? So this would be my length. 1/2 would be my width. So I'm going to draw out a pennant. And this is not drawn to size. So my length is 4/5. My width is 1/2. And it says that I have 1/4 inch silver border. So I'm going to draw a little border around this. And as every math teacher says, I am not an artist. So it's crooked. But each from here to here is 1/4 of an inch. From here to here is 1/4 of an inch. From here to here is 1/4 of an inch. From here to here is 1/4 of an inch. So for my length, remember my length is the 4/5 of an inch. I've got a border, or 1/4 border, 1/4 inch border on the left. I've got my length of 4/5 for the pennant itself, and then I've got a border of 1/4 inch on the right. So add all this up, this will give me my border. Now I'm just going to look for a common denominator, because you always have to find a common denominator. Does not have to be the smallest denominator, just has to be a common. So if I take in 4 times 5 gives me 20, and then 5 times 4 of course is 20, so 20 goes, 4 and 5 will both go into 20. I can use 20 for my common denominator. And then again, whatever I multiply on the bottom, I have to multiply on the top. So if I multiply 4 times 5, I'm going to have to multiply the 1 by 5. 1 by 5 gives me 5. If I'm multiplying the 5 by 4 to get 20, then I got to multiply the 4 by 4 on top, and that gives me 16. And then again on the last one, I'm going to multiply the 4 by the 5 to get 20. So I got to multiply the 1 by the 5 to gives me 5. So when I multiply that together, 5 plus 5 gives me 10, plus 16 gives me 26 out of 20. Then this will reduce. 2 goes into both of these. 2 goes into 26 13 times. 2 goes into 20 10 times. So I have a length of 13/10. Doesn't say anything about writing it as a mixed number. So I'm going to leave my length at 13/10 of an inch. So it's just a little bit bigger than an inch with that border. All right, so now I've got to find my width. Okay, so again, with the width is going up and down here. I've got a 1/2 inch width, and I've got a 1/4 inch border on each side. So my width is going to have 1/4 of a border on the top, then my 1/2 width, and a 1/4 of the border on the bottom. So then again, I'm going to find my common denominator. And if you pay careful attention here, you can see that 4 times 2 gives me 8, but if I do 2 times 2 here, I'm going to get 4 for all 3 of those. So I'm going to use 4. That way when I'm multiplying, I multiply 4 by 1, I'm only multiplying 1 by 1. I have to multiply 2 by 2, so I'm multiplying 1 by 2. And I'm multiplying 4 by 1, so I'm going to multiply 1 by 1, and I get 1. So 1, 2, 3, 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So I have a fraction of 4/4, which is the equivalent of 1. So my width is 1 inch. Now we don't ever want to write a fraction as 4 over 4, 4/4 of an inch. You always want to take it to the whole number. And that's it for our word problems.